As the sun sets, our leading lady Annie wearily walks home after work. She hasn't had a proper rest for several days, due to preparing for a significant project. Annie lies lazily on the bed, completely still. However, despite her physical and mental exhaustion, her thoughts continue to race, preventing her from finding a peaceful sleep. Annie gets up and prepares a simple dinner for herself, lost in her own thoughts. Her boyfriend went abroad, leaving her alone in the country. The absence of passionate love and the constant suspicions have already made it too much for her to bear.
When he returns this time, breaking up with him might be the best choice for both him and me.
Right at that moment, a jarring ringtone pierces the air. It's a call from Annie's boyfriend.
Annie, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I feel like we're not quite compatible. Let's break up.
Why does he get to decide everything about love or not? But now, none of it really matters.
Annie's heart feels like it's being twisted by a knife, deeply pained. After the pain, there's an endless sense of loneliness. On a crisp and clear autumn morning, Annie is hurrying from her home to work, almost running late. Last night, due to the breakup, she spent the whole night wide awake. There's no time to wait for the bus, and her body can't handle the crowded bus today, or she might just faint. During the morning rush hour, after waiting and contemplating for a long time, there still isn't an empty taxi passing by. She's getting anxious. Today, a newly appointed supervisor is coming to inspect the work, and the consequences of being late could be severe. As Annie looks around nervously, a car comes to a stop in front of her. She doubts that a kind stranger would be willing to give her, a stranger, a ride to work. Such scenes only happen in soap operas. She takes a few steps to the right, continuing to wait.
Get in. It's the morning rush hour and you won't be able to catch a cab.
Who are you? Do we know each other?
The sudden TV drama-like turn of events leaves Annie somewhat surprised. She doesn't recognize this person at all.
I may be a stranger now, but if you want to be late, feel free to keep waiting here.
I'm heading to Cary Center on Lotus West Road. How about you?
I'm headed there too.
Is it just a coincidence?
Although Annie hesitates a bit, she's about to be late, so she gets into the car. It's broad daylight, and the gentleman doesn't seem like a bad person. The car speeds along and quickly arrives at the company building. Before the car comes to a complete stop, Annie gets out.
Thank you for giving me a ride to work.
Annie expresses her gratitude and hurries into the company. Our male lead, Kevin, hasn't had a chance to say anything in the car, and Annie has already disappeared. Fortunately, she was only 2 minutes late. Annie sits down, sips a cup of coffee to catch her breath, and waits in the meeting room for the arrival of the new supervisor. While Annie is waiting for the new supervisor, a familiar face walks into the office.
Oh my, this is awkward. Isn't this new supervisor the person who gave me a ride to work this morning?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin coming from the headquarters. I'll be working with all of you for a while. Looking forward to a pleasant collaboration. Your name is Annie, right? I heard from your manager that your performance has been impressive. You've been working hard during this period.
Mr. Kevin, you're too kind. It's just what I should do, part of my responsibilities.
Yesterday at noon, Kevin arrived at this new work environment, passing by Annie's cube, with manager Jorge accompanying him. During break time, he noticed Annie still working hard. With a brief introduction from Jorge, he remembered this beautiful woman. Kevin's residence is not far from Annie's home. This morning, from a distance, Kevin saw this beautiful woman looking around on the platform. Kevin just wanted to give her a ride to prevent her from being late. That's how the story unfolded. Could this be the beginning of fate? Let's continue to find out.
Since the breakup, there seems to be not much pain. Perhaps I never truly loved?
It's over, dispersed. maybe it won't touch the inner agony.
Annie is naturally beautiful, but her love life has been quite ordinary. Perhaps fate has not arrived, and she hasn't met someone worth relying on. Her 2 previous relationships, both uneventful, ended without fruition. The 2 unsuccessful relationships have made Annie reluctant to easily believe in being loved again. She wants to bury her tenderness in her heart, hoping for the most beautiful encounter in the mortal world. No matter how long it takes, even if it's a lifetime of waiting, she has no regrets, waiting for him to ignite the long-lost yearning in her heart. Annie continues to work hard, quietly, and unnoticed. 1 month later, in the month since Kevin joined the company, under his leadership, performance has increased by 8% compared to the previous month. Everyone received bonuses and salary increments, making them very happy. They suggested celebrating tonight by treating Kevin and taking the opportunity to relax.
How can I let everyone treat me? If we're going to celebrate, it should be me treating all of you. This month's performance is the result of our collective efforts. My supervisor emphasized the need for me to thank everyone for their strong support.
So, Kevin takes everyone to the familiar restaurant, treating them to a hearty meal to reward his team.
Kevin, moving far away from your hometown for work, does your significant other have any objections?
How should I put it? That's a thing of the past. I used to have a girlfriend, but not anymore. I'm single now.
Here's to the single life. Cheers!
When it comes to love life, Annie suddenly feels a bit excited. She seems to really enjoy her single life now, so she raises her glass to toast Kevin.
Yeah, cheers to the single life. I usually can't handle alcohol due to my metabolism, but I'll make an exception today and have a little. Cheers!
After the team finishes dinner, it's karaoke time. Annie, not great with alcohol and not fond of the nightclub environment, tells everyone that she's heading home to rest. Knowing her personality, everyone agrees and lets her go. Annie walks outside, looking at the starry sky, the gentle moonlight, and feeling the light breeze. She suddenly feels intoxicated. Kevin, concerned for Annie, follows her outside, walking quietly behind her for a while. A woman's sixth sense is quite keen, especially after being observed for a long time. They tend to sense it.
Mr. Kevin, I have a question. Why do the stars in the sky love to twinkle?
They might be conveying their love to someone special. Even though they love each other, they can only gaze at each other from a distance. That can be quite painful.
As my boss, this shouldn't be your speaking style, right?
Do you need a ride home?
No, the moonlight tonight is so beautiful. It's worth taking a stroll and enjoying.
But are you sure you're okay to walk?
No problem. I'm still very sober, not drunk at all.
Silent all the way, stepping in the moonlight, accompanied by starlight, they walk together until they reach Annie's place.
Thank you. I'm home now. Do you still have a long way to go?
I'm almost home too. No need to thank me. How about treating me to a cup of coffee?
It's too late. Feeling tired. I'd like to rest. Another time, perhaps?
Yes, it's late. I apologize for any inconvenience.
Annie sees that lonely figure and suddenly feels the desire to accompany him all the way. Just keep walking together. Under the clear night sky, the stars are still twinkling. Perhaps they are conveying their love to someone special. Sometimes, gazing at each other from a distance can be both happiness and pain. Can two lonely souls eventually come together? Stay tuned for the next episode.
Good morning, Mr. Kevin. I might have had a bit too much to drink last night and said some things I shouldn't have. I apologize.
Morning, Annie. Why apologize to me? I should be thanking you. It's been a long time since I've taken a walk in the moonlight.
Annie smiled briefly and remained silent. It's strange how with some people, even if you don't know each other well, through their gestures, smiles, and words, there's a sense of familiarity, as if you've known each other in a past life.
Can I come in?
The door's open. Please come in.
After lunch, Annie knocked on Kevin's office door.
Boss, how about I treat you to coffee this afternoon, like I promised yesterday?
No need to be so formal. I just mentioned it casually last night. It was presumptuous of me. I apologize if it made you uncomfortable.
No worries. Just a cup of coffee. It's no big deal.
Sure, wait for me a moment. I'll get this proposal drafted first.
All right, boss. I'll be waiting for you.
Don't call me boss, just call me Kevin.
All right. It's more friendly that way.
While waiting, Annie noticed a photo frame on Kevin's desk. It contained a picture of a young and beautiful woman.
This woman must be Kevin's ex-wife. I used to think that leaving a man like Kevin must be because of the woman. But seeing this gentle and kind-looking lady, I suddenly feel like she and Kevin were well matched.
Kevin and Annie arrived at the coffee shop, savoring this rare warmth.
Do you come here often?
Yeah, the ambiance is nice, and the coffee is good too.
Do you have a sad story too?
Aren't you too?
Perhaps. But no matter how sad or painful our stories may be, we must cherish ourselves and strive to live well.
Yeah, that applies to you too. You know, when a leaf leaves the tree, is it because the wind is chasing it or because the tree didn't hold it back?
None of the above.
What is that?
That is the leaf's own decision. It's the law of nature. It calmly accepts the arrangement of fate, and in doing so, it can, in the next cycle, bring forth even more beautiful new greenery.
Outside the window, leaves from the tree were falling, one by one. Kevin and Annie's gazes were simultaneously fixed on the falling leaves outside. They were quietly contemplating something. The falling leaves seemed to merge their two sets of eyes, creating a poignant overlap. Since then, Kevin and Annie, due to their busy work schedules, never had the chance to spend time together again. Occasionally crossing paths at work, they would exchange a knowing smile, but that was the extent of their interaction. Since then, Annie always felt that there was a subtle change in their relationship, though she couldn't quite put it into words. Sometimes, when they met in the elevator, Kevin would smile at her, and Annie felt a strange sense of tranquility in the midst of the crowded people. Since then, Kevin also noticed that there was a bit more warmth in Annie's gaze when she looked at him. However, he pretended not to be aware and would quietly think about her calm demeanor and her lonely, sad figure on that moonlit night. It was a late night after overtime, and Annie caught a ride with Kevin. The car navigated through the colorful night, and Annie leaned her head against the window, observing the passing scenery. The gentle breeze softly blew, and she was slightly intoxicated. Kevin drove steadily, and the corner of his eye glanced at her slender shoulders. An indescribable emotion welled up in his heart, causing a slight ache.
See you tomorrow.
Come up and have a bowl of noodles.
Is it convenient?
Well, as long as you don't mind if it doesn't taste good. I can only make very simple dishes, like clear soup noodles. Hope you don't mind?
I only like clear soup noodles. My mom used to make it for me a lot when I was a child. Your little house is just like you. Fresh, clean, and warm.
Annie skillfully chopped green onions. Kevin, watching her from the side, suddenly felt a warm feeling. This was the kind of family life he enjoyed.
All right, the clear soup noodles are ready. Let's get ready to eat.
Your cooking skills are impressive. It all looks so tempting.
It's not bad. I only know how to make this. Simple, clear, not greasy.
Haven't had such good noodles in a long time. It feels so comforting, reminds me of the noodles my mom used to cook for me.
Sure thing. Whenever you're free, just swing by for a bite.
Annie, I'll be heading back to the company headquarters next month.
After Kevin spoke, perhaps because both of them were hungry, they quietly finished their meal, maintaining silence throughout. Annie remained silent, feeling an inexplicable sadness welling up within her. She walked to the kitchen, facing away from him, washing the dishes. Finally, tears rolled down her cheeks, dropping onto the back of her hand.
How come you're heading back to headquarters so soon? I haven't heard you mention it before.
I just received the notice from higher-ups. Haven't had the chance to inform you all yet, but you're the first to know. Annie, thank you for being a part of my life, even in my final days here.
Annie didn't understand his meaning. She just forever remembered the warmth of his embrace. When Kevin left, Annie accompanied him to the airport. They didn't exchange many words, just embraced each other deeply.
Take care on the journey.
Thank you, Annie. Take care and cherish yourself.
In that moment, both of their hearts ached, yet they continued to smile. Annie watched his figure disappear at the boarding gate. She turned around without looking back. However, tears welled up in the corners of her eyes, blurring each other's vision. Six months later, Annie, missing Kevin dearly, finally dialed his number. However, the voice Annie heard wasn't the one she had longed for day and night. She couldn't recall what the person said, how many words were spoken, how many tears she shed, or how she hung up the phone.
Kevin had passed away from liver cancer 2 months ago.
Suddenly, Annie understood all those things Kevin had said to her before.
Stars twinkling might be their way of expressing love to those they cherish. If two people love each other but can only gaze at each other from a distance, it's truly a painful situation. Falling leaves understand the laws of nature. They calmly accept the arrangement of fate. It is through this acceptance that they can, in the next cycle, bring forth even more beautiful new greenery. Annie, thank you for being a part of my life, even in my final days. Thank you, Annie. Take care and cherish yourself.
Annie finally understood why he left his beautiful and kind wife, who had been so close and intimate with him. She finally understood why he had been reluctant to utter the long-cherished love that he kept deep in his heart. But it was all too late. Annie will continue to live her life well and cherish herself, as it is what Kevin would have wanted. Annie will continue to live her life with their memories, sometimes smiling, sometimes feeling a bit lonely. Of course, she will always remember the warmth of his embrace.